Welcome to the Coast Podcast. I'm Emilie, a virtual assistant agency owner who left Amazon in 2019 to build my dream.
And I'm Whitney, a freelance writer and communications consultant who never felt at home in a cube farm.
We didn't see many people paving their own ways like we decided to, so we created this podcast to talk to others who were brave enough to pick a different path. Creatives, entrepreneurs, people doing their careers and their lives their way.
Join us as we learn from them, get inspired, and show you beautiful paths less traveled.
Not every road leads to the coast, but the ones that do come with a great view.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Coast. Today we have our friend Molly Nutt, who owns Acorn Digital Strategy, which is like the cutest kind of, it's not a pun, but the cutest name that goes with her name of her company. And she is an email marketer and copywriter based in the Seattle area. And this conversation is a long time coming because she's going to get into some strategies for your email marketing and strategies for holiday. But before that, we want to welcome her and have her tell a little bit of her story.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's so exciting. I've been listening to your guys' podcast for a while since Sam introduced me to it from Human Aligned. But yeah, it's great to be here. So I started this business 2 years ago, almost exactly, while I was still in my 9 to 5. So I was working in corporate for almost 3 years. Started this business as a side hustle initially while I was working in corporate. And then as soon as I got enough clientele to kind of replace the 9 to 5 income and feel like I wasn't making a stupid financial decision to quit corporate, then it was a year and a month ago actually that I left the 9 to 5 and started doing this business full time. It feels like simultaneously way longer and way shorter. Like it was just yesterday, but it's been a year and a month. And I get to support incredible female business owners primarily with email marketing and copywriting. And it's just been such a fun journey over the past year to work with them and continue to learn and just meet incredible people like you guys too. It's awesome.
We see so much of your story in our story too. I mean, that's the whole reason that we started this podcast, was to highlight this journey and really, I guess, shine a light on the leaving corporate side. So that's great. I did the same thing, built my business while I was working in corporate, and quit as soon as I could financially do that. So that's really awesome.
Except Molly is smarter than we are because you did that way earlier. Like you're saying these years, and I'm like, oh, she figured that out. And she did this so much faster than I did, which I love to see.
Thank you. I'm really grateful too. My boyfriend, he quit his corporate job about 4 months before I did. So we're both kind of on this entrepreneurship journey together, and he quit, and that kind of gave me the courage to quit as well because I was seeing him thrive and just so much happier. And so now we're both going on a few years as full-time business owners. And so it's been really exciting to go through that with him too.
That's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's especially because in the beginning, it's so important to have somebody, because when you first start, you feel like nobody understands you and nobody knows what you're going through. But that's really cool that you had a partner to do that with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was terrifying. It was really scary. Like, should I do this? Should I keep doing it as a side hustle for another year? But it kind of got to the point of either saying no to clients and even like reducing my client workload. Because, you work 8 to 10 hours in a 9 to 5 already, and then building a business on the side. Like I was just working so much constantly. So it was either scale back the business and just kind of decide to climb the corporate ladder, or throw the ladder out the window and go business full time. So I'm glad I did. I would never change a thing.
Yeah. And I was going to say, now, once you guys are 2 years into it, you can buy a house because they don't recognize your business on
Right.
loans until 2 years because most
I
people
know.
quit after a year. So
Hmm.
congrats to you because that's a big, I even remember for me pushing through that first year and like not refreshing Indeed. Like I would do that sometimes when I was feeling like, oh, is this going to be a viable business for me? And then I would almost apply for things and they would be like, oh, cover letter. And I'm like, no, I'll keep doing this because I'm not trying to write a cover letter.
Right. Yeah. And I was so fortunate. Like the business community that I surrounded myself with right when I started my business, I took like this online business course and the people I met through that and the way that it expanded my business so quickly. Like I was so busy as soon as I quit my 9 to 5, which I know is not the story that everybody has. So I'm incredibly grateful for it. So I never had a ton of like the doubts of should I be doing this in terms of like financial stability. It was like, should I be doing this? Because now I quit my 9 to 5 to work 24/7 and I'm stressed owning a business. And is it worth all the stress? Like a 9 to 5 is easier to just like close your laptop at the end of the day and walk away. So that was more of like the back and forth struggle I personally had. But so far so good. I'm working through a lot a lot of the boundary issues I didn't have in place the first year as a business owner.
It's hard to also turn off your brain because
Oh,
regardless of if you turn off your laptop, your brain is always going. It's your livelihood, it's your business. Everything matters way more than it ever did before.
And just like caring so much for the clients too, and like the work that you're doing for them. I'm so passionate about the work that I do and so passionate about supporting my clients. So you're right. You're like your brain just never turns off for work. It's 24/7.
Yeah. And I can tell that too. So we had been kind of connected or like at the same events for a while, but hadn't met in person. And then you took over my friend and like kind of businessy partner at this point's emails. And I was like, "Ugh, I hate writing my own emails. I wish I could like justify paying Molly and maybe one day I will. But every time an email from her would go out, I would reply to it and be like, oh, I love your emails that Molly does for you. And then I started adding you to them now because I know that you do them. So I'm like replying to Michelle's emails, like with you on CC, like Molly, you do such an amazing job. And I've been referring people to you too because a lot of people think like, oh, a writer, they can do anything. And sure, I can write your emails. I have no strategy around it. So there's no point in me even trying. So I'm like, here, have Molly do all of your emails and then I'll do other things. And I super believe in like community over anything else. So I wouldn't even care if like they used you for everything because you're so good at what you do. But I want you to talk to us a little bit about like how you even became a good email person. Like that was your corporate job sort of thing, I would imagine, or you're just like really smart. I don't know. And then what you're thinking of as far as like strategies for people who already know how to use email marketing or could hire you to do it because it's a lot and it's not just sending an email. It's like this whole thing.
So true. Yeah. So I'll start from the beginning and answer the two-part question. So I went to school for marketing. I graduated with a marketing degree. I kind of focused and specialized in digital marketing. So from the get-go, I was interested in like more of the tech side of marketing, like the SEO, the digital aspect of it. So I started dipping my toes into like the website design space pretty early on. Like in college, I did some side projects for family friends, started learning about, this online business space. And then my corporate job was in corporate communications, specifically in internal communications. And I did some newsletter writing for the company, and the company had like 80,000 employees. And so the newsletters I would send out would go to like 20, 30,000 people. And, here I am like in my early 20s designing and writing a newsletter that was going to like tens of thousands of employees at the company. And I would get so stressed and like nervous when it was ready to send. And I would hit send and like pray that nothing bad was going to happen. So I kind of did a little bit of email marketing in a weird way in corporate, but it was mostly just in communication. So I fell in love with storytelling even more. I've always loved writing since I was little. It's always, I think, been a skill of mine. And when I got to corporate, I really started honing that skill. And I was surrounded by really talented writers and corporate communications on the team that I was on. And then when I started my business, initially I was doing some web design and website copy together, as well as like blog writing and more just general content writing and copywriting. It wasn't until probably about six months into starting my business that I really dove deep into email marketing. And once I learned more about it and like started dipping my toes in the water of email marketing, I was like, this is it. This is for me. So I took courses, I've learned a ton, and I honestly just started working with clients pretty soon, like as soon as I started learning about it. And since then, I mean, the rest is history. It's been about a year and a half that I've been doing email marketing as like the main focus of my services. And I just am obsessed with it, partially because it is such a marriage of the strategy and tech side of business with the creative writing. Because a lot of setting up email marketing is a lot of tech at the beginning, understanding how forms fit into sequences and tags and customer segmentation, especially for product-based businesses. It is very tech heavy, like very, very tech heavy. But combining that with the copywriting and the storytelling, it's just like the perfect blend of the right and left side of my brain that I've always enjoyed working with. And it's kind of always been a passion of mine. And I think email marketing is a perfect blend of, the strategy with the creativity, which makes me really happy.
Yeah. And you can tell that. I think so many things you can tell when somebody really loves what they do. And that shines through not only in your emails, which you do this kind of cool inception-y thing in your emails where you're like, here I am sending you my flow, my series, my welcome series. And also it's kind of this thing of like, oh, I could do that for you too. And at least that's how I felt about it, because I already know that's like what you do. But you told me, I'm going to send you these emails and this is what you're going to experience through them. And I loved that. Like, I loved knowing what I was in for, and I was excited to get the next email. And I'm curious, like, every client is different, but what's a typical conversation that you have when you're onboarding them of like their email needs? How do you not overwhelm them with like the tech part of it? Because usually I would imagine people are coming to you because they don't want to do either side of it. But like for me, even thinking about the tech, that's like the most overwhelming part of it. And getting people on your list, engaged, scrubbing the list, like sending the right things at the right times, all of that.
It can be a lot. And that's why a lot of business owners do decide to outsource it, is because to consider the strategy, your customer journey or your client journey, the tech implementation, the design of the newsletters, the copywriting of the newsletters, the storytelling through every single email in the sequence, and then the list management, the nurturing, the newsletters. It is a very long process, and for a lot of people, it's why they don't even start with email marketing, is because they feel overwhelmed. So if someone listening to this is in that position of like, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't even know where to start, I would say look at email marketing as simply as you want to. You can collect email subscribers and send a newsletter once a month, and you can leave it just at that. As your business grows, you'll want to add sequences and like get more into the strategy side of things. But to just get started, you just need to choose an email platform, create a form that can collect emails, start promoting your list on social media, and send a newsletter once or twice a month. Like, it can be easier than that. But to answer your question of like, how do I approach these big projects with clients without making them feel overwhelmed? A lot of times it starts with walking them through their customer journey or their client journey and talking them through the difference between a cold lead, a warm lead, and a hot lead, and how getting somebody through your marketing funnel through email marketing and social media, walking them through what that customer journey can look like and how email marketing can get them more hot leads and more conversions, essentially, I think resonates with a lot of business owners, because when you are a business owner, you don't often take like a class in just general marketing and general marketing strategy. And I think my background in marketing really helps me be able to articulate the importance of like setting up an actual funnel for email marketing and just a funnel for your business in general. And if you don't know what a funnel is, it's essentially just moving someone from knowing your brand to liking your brand to trusting your brand to buying from your brand, right? And so normally people start on social media, being introduced to your brand. They learn about who you are. Maybe they're interested enough to download a free resource. Or if you're a product-based business, maybe they're interested enough to get a discount from you and try out your products for a discount. That moves them into a warm lead because they're interested in your products. They've joined your email list. And then once they join your email list, it's your job to move them from a warm lead to a hot lead. And a hot lead means that they're ready to convert. So all these email sequences that we set up for them, the goal is to use storytelling, persuasion, sales copy, sales psychology to move them from liking your brand and trusting your brand, actually purchasing from your brand. And so walking business owners through that process and creating a strategy presentation for them of how all these email sequences will move their ideal client through the marketing process normally is a great place to start. So someone just understands conceptually what email marketing is for and what it does for their business. So that's always the start of a project that I do with people, is like laying the foundation of, this is how email marketing works. This is how it's going to work for your business. And this is how it moves your ideal customer from being introduced to your brand to actually purchasing from your brand. So it's all combined in like a presentation strategy that I do for new clients.
Cool. Yeah, I need that strategy. The thing that I was thinking about too is with email marketing, something that you do so well, and I know you've spoken about this before, is capture the voice, which I find is one of my biggest passions. That's how I'm going to build out my business in the next year. I'm going to do more workshops with people on identifying their voice. Even like the first one that like popped into my head as I was conceptualizing a bio workshop, and then I was like, I can't get them to the bio if I don't have them work on their voice first. So I'm going to do more one-to-many workshops where I can do what I do with my one-to-one clients and bring it to more people, more businesses, of finding their voice. How do you talk? How does your ideal customer talk? How do you want to talk to them? And then bringing that into all of your marketing touch points, because a lot of what I would, when I was in social media management and we would fight with our bosses or our clients about like, we are the top of the funnel. You cannot tie conversions usually to being an awareness channel. When you're in a social media, we're building awareness for your brand. You're more at the bottom of the funnel because you get them onto the list and through. But in that whole journey, there needs to be consistent voice. So having different people manage different parts of your brand or your marketing, unless they all have the same like style guide, you could have a completely different experience on email than you do on Instagram. And if they found you on Instagram, then they get to email and they're like boring and weird newsletters, then you're going to lose that customer. So I know that because we're both writers and this is something we love, I've noticed, as opposed to other people who do what you do, I don't even know very many people who do what you do. What you do so well is carry that voice through. Even for Michelle, I feel like you're talking as her, and Michelle is minty made for anybody who hasn't listened to her episode. I know you've spoken about this before, but I'd love to just, for our audience, hear more about like your approach to voice and how you help your clients not only identify their voice, but bring it through to the email channels and have fun with it too. Because I think a lot of people are afraid to have fun with their voice on every channel.
Totally. And I think that's what stops a lot of people from doing the storytelling aspect of their business, which is the most important part of like selling anything and making sales. And a lot of what copywriting is in terms of email marketing and just general copywriting is the storytelling aspect. You want to lean into storytelling to have people like, know, and trust you and be confident in making a purchase from you, whether you're a service provider or a product-based business. So any new client that I have, they fill out a really detailed questionnaire, right? All about their ideal clients, demographics, psychographics. They share any testimonials or reviews that they've received, because I do a lot of copy mining, which is essentially just using the same words that their ideal client has used to describe them or their products in the marketing collateral that we then create for them. So if they describe working with you as stress-free and anxiety relieving and relaxing, then we'll lean into those, into a lot of like the pain point solutions and transformations in the copy. So copy mining is really important. But also for me, I get asked this question a lot actually, of like, how do you write in someone else's voice? And I don't have tangible, like a step-by-step guide that I use to like learn somebody's voice and write in their voice. That hasn't been part of my process, and I don't know if it ever will be. Inherently, I think I just am able to speak to somebody, understand what they're like, how they make me feel when I talk to them, how they describe themselves, how they answer questions in the questionnaire, of course. Um, asking questions like, how do your friends describe you? How do you want to make your client feel when you talk to them? How do you want to make a potential client feel when you talk to them? How do you not want to make them feel? Are there any brand voices that you listen to in the space that you resonate with a lot? Why is that? And so diving into all those questions and then double clicking into their answers of like, okay, well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by using the adjective you want to make them feel happy? What does happy mean for you? So I just ask some really detailed questions that give me a general idea of who they are, the type of person they are, the values that they have as a business owner. And I'm just able to translate that into their copywriting. So a lot of it is really just me getting to know the client in like a personal, intimate way. And then just being able to, as I'm writing their copy, to think back to our conversations that I've had with them and being like, okay, how did they make me feel? How do they want to make their ideal client feel? What words would I use to bring this to life? And then also questions like, how do you feel about using funny GIFs in your content? How do you feel about emojis? Like, what's your top 5 most used emojis? If you're texting a friend, how do you introduce them? Is it like, do you say, hey, hey? Do you say, hey, girl? Do you say, hey, bestie? Like, what type of lingo or language is common for you? Because a lot of the email marketing copy that I write, it has to be conversational and it has to be casual, because people don't want like some professional stuffy email ending up in their inbox. So a lot of the copy that I do write for clients is like the type of copy that they would write to a friend in an email. So I try to keep it super conversational always. And so getting to know them on a personal level and having a lot of conversations with them, I see how they talk casually and just translate that into their copy. So if someone else is trying to learn how to write in someone else's voice, I don't have the best tips aside from what questions you could ask them, and how to like double click into the questions that are the answers that they give you. But Sam from Human Aligned told me that it's because of my human design type. As an emotional projector, I'm able to like take a bunch of information that people give to me, narrow it down into what's most important, and then communicate it. So, yeah. Maybe it's a gift.
If it makes you feel better, same. And the only thing that I can say for that and like embodying the voice is, and I would imagine we have this in common, is just reading a ton. I find that like the more that I read or spend time with somebody, I can easily mirror their voice. And it's just a gift that people need to hire you for. Like, you don't have to be able to explain it. But I was curious as a person who also does that. Like, it sends a questionnaire, and I don't need much more than the questionnaire to just roll. And I find that to be a really powerful thing, especially when your clients really trust you to embody the voice. And I think a lot of people can do a better job, or like brands or marketing teams, to make sure that that's all honed across the board. But you are a person who can so easily show the deep multi-tiered value of email marketing. I even told Emilie, I was like, I texted her like 2 weeks ago, like, you need a newsletter. Why don't you have a newsletter?
I don't do anything. And I have a pretty substantial list, especially for coaching, but I don't do anything because it's too overwhelming.
You're giving Molly hives.
No. You got to start somewhere. Hey, you have an email list.
Fine.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah. It's, to me, part of the stress about it is like coming up with lead magnets. And once I understood the concept of lead magnet, I'm like, that could be a lead magnet. That could be a lead magnet. That could be and I'm like taking my blogs and like, how can I make this a lead magnet? And, can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yes, I love lead magnets. Um, And one thing too, I wanted to touch on that Whitney said, like the most exciting type of project that I do is when I get to touch multiple like pieces of someone's business. So if I can write their blogs for them, their social media captions for them, their newsletters, their sales pages, their email sequences, then they know that they have a fully consistent voice across every single type of marketing touch point, including their lead magnets, right? Even the copy that's in your lead magnets, it matters. So I'm sure same is for you, Whitney. Like when you get to have your hands in every piece of marketing collateral and you know the copy and the voice is going to be consistent on every single touch point, that is like a dream situation because not only can you repurpose content and understand how they all tie together, but then you're just like creating a powerhouse of a marketing message and story that you get to share across every single platform.
Facts. But I would give you the newsletter and I would be so happy and grateful that I can trust somebody to take that to the whole next level.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Okay, so let's talk about lead magnets because this is fun. So, for anyone that doesn't know, lead magnets are a way to get more people to join your email list. So, most people will not join your email list unless they're getting something in return for it. So, unless they're genuinely just curious about what you're doing, what your life is up to, what your business is. If you got some like nosy ants that want to join your email list, they'll join in exchange for nothing, right? They'll just join so they can hear from you. But most people, most of your ideal clients aren't going to join just to join. Their inbox is full enough. They subscribe to enough newsletters already. So we need to incentivize them to join. So for service-based businesses, we call these lead magnets. For product-based businesses, we often refer to these as incentives. So an incentive for a product-based business is free shipping off your first order in exchange for your email, or 15% off your first order, or a free gift with purchase. These are all common examples that I'm sure many of us sign up for to get discounts off our orders. But then after you get that discount, you're added to the newsletter list. So you're added to their nurture sequence. But going back to service-based businesses, these lead magnets are oftentimes valuable resources that your ideal client needs to get to your next level of your offer suite. So when we think of our offer suite, it goes from free information that you share, say on social media or in your newsletters, or in your lead magnets, which we'll talk about more. And then you have your low ticket offer, which can either be like a downloadable passive offer that's like $9 to $100, like very low ticket, low commitment. And then when we go farther up the offer suite, maybe it's like a one-on-one hour session with you to talk about strategy and like a consultation setting. And then up and up the ladder we go, the higher the investment is. And so it's very unlikely for somebody to go, or I should say it's a lot harder for someone from following you on Instagram to then investing in your highest offer, whether that's like a $5,000 package or a multi 4-figure investment, right? It's very hard for someone to get from that like social media follower perspective all the way to purchasing your offer. It's possible, people do it, but it's just harder. So instead, what we encourage you to do is to create a funnel, marketing funnel, that takes someone from following you on social media. You create a lead magnet, which can be a downloadable PDF. It can be a video on Vimeo that walks them through something. But regardless, it just needs to be a valuable piece of content that your ideal client is interested in receiving. So for me, as an email marketer, my lead magnet is a guide that walks someone through step by step how to get started with email marketing. And so normally I would charge for something like this. It is a valuable enough piece of content that my low ticket offer, which is a one-on-one marketing intensive, which is an hour strategy session, we essentially just dive into that getting started guide, right? So this getting started guide is extremely valuable. My ideal client really needs it. And then the goal with all your lead magnets, I'm like revealing all of my secrets here, but the goal with your lead magnets is to have someone get started in the process of a service that you can help them with. So they get started with email marketing, and then they probably feel overwhelmed though as they're working through the guide. And so who do I want them to call if they feel overwhelmed? They call me. And so once they download this getting started guide, they enter an email sequence. And every other day, I send them an email checking in how it's going, seeing if they have any questions, providing them with more valuable information in a few emails, more advice. And then towards the end of that email sequence, after, 7, 8, 9 days of them downloading the guide, I say like, hey, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you need extra support, then my one-on-one email marketing strategy session could be perfect for you. So you see, we're going from them following me on social media to saying, hey, I want to get started with email marketing. I'll download a free resource. Let's see if this is helpful. They get started. Maybe that's all they need. And I would love that if that's all they need for the support, and then they are off and running with email marketing. But the odds are, as they go through email marketing, they're going to feel like they need support, whether it's right then, a year from now, or 5 years from now. But I just want to be seen as an ideal subject matter expert for them. So for anybody listening to this, I would just encourage you to consider, what valuable information does your ideal client need in order to start going into your offer suite? So what piece of content, which step-by-step resources, which explanation of whatever it is that you do, how can you start getting somebody invested in the services that you provide, and start working them through your offer suite through a free piece of content? And a lot of people are hesitant to give away free, valuable information, but I always encourage to give more free things away as possible. The more free value that you provide, the more you're viewed as a subject matter expert, and the more someone trusts you with their work. So if you think you're giving away too much for free, you probably aren't. You can probably give away more. So that's my spiel about lead magnets.
Then there's some of us who are like, I don't even know how to make a free download.
Oh, okay. We
And
can walk through that.
I don't have things. I mean, I think I do, but I don't have a sophisticated enough system. And we've talked about this too. Like, I'm just going to give Squarespace $5 a month for the next year while I figure it out. But like, to make sequences that are separate from just a newsletter, but like that free download, I guess you could even make something on Canva or a Loom video or something.
Exactly. Yeah. I would encourage you to create something on Canva. Like for you, Whitney, you could create like the 10 questions you need to ask yourself to start establishing your brand voice. And then you create a free resource with those 10 questions, and then give people a fill in the blank section. And then once they download it, then you go into their inbox with more valuable tips, more questions they can ask themselves, questions they can ask themselves from their own answers, and like keep diving deeper. And then maybe you then have hour-long recorded workshop that they can purchase for $20 that you sell to them in that email sequence. So Canva is a great place to start. And then should we talk a little bit about some email platforms that can support people in creating these sequences? Okay. Awesome. So this is also in my Getting Started guide. It's like a shameless plug, but if you are curious what platform could be right for you, I also dive into it on my blog on my website, going through every single type of platform that I would recommend and who it's good for. So I'll just do a quick overview. A lot of service-based businesses that are especially just starting out with email marketing, Flowdesk is a really great option. So it's $19 a month. I have a discount code that will have it be $19 a month. Otherwise, it's like 40 something. So we could include that if I could share that with you if you want.
Flowdesk is $40 for people?
I think it's $39 if you don't have the code.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Give us the code. We'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, it's $19 a month if you do have the code, which for some business owners is too expensive for just starting off and you don't want to make that commitment. But I will say Flowdesk is great because it's easy to create really pretty newsletters. In their interface is very intuitive. So if you feel overwhelmed by tech, Flowdesk could be really great for you because it's very simple, very straightforward, and setting up the sequences is very intuitive. So how a lead magnet would work is you would create this PDF. You can design it in Canva and then just download it as a PDF. And then you would create a form. And so all these email platforms that I'm going to talk about, they use the same language. It's called a form that says, download my free guide about XYZ, give me your name and your email. And then that form is attached to a sequence in your email system. So when somebody submits that form, they get added to a sequence, and that sequence is triggered by the form submission. So immediately after someone submits that form, they receive the delivery email. So you send them the PDF, you tell them good luck, and then you wait a day, send them another email, wait a day, send another email, etc. For usually 4 to 6 emails is what I'd recommend. So Flowdesk is really intuitive, setting all that up. It's really straightforward. Now, if you don't want to spend $19 a month, MailerLite is a sufficient free option. I think it's free up until 1,000 subscribers. So for new business owners, it's a great place to start. It's not as aesthetic. Flowdesk is very aesthetic. So their templates that they have are like very clean, design focused, very pretty. MailerLite is a text-based design platform, so you're going to get more just like text. You can add in graphics that you design in Canva if you want, but it's just not quite as pretty, but it's free. So that's a great option for new businesses. If you are a coach, if you have multiple offers, if you have multiple segments of customers or clients, I should say, and you target multiple different types of people. So a lot of coaches need this. If that sounds like you, then I would recommend looking into ConvertKit or Active Campaign. So these are a little bit more expensive. They're pay as you grow, meaning as you get more subscribers, you're going to pay a little bit more a month. But they're extremely robust in the tech that they offer. So you can create really detailed segmentation, really detailed tagging. All the triggers and automations that they have are very, very detailed, which for a lot of coaches, that's what you need. Or service providers that have like really large email lists. And especially if you're a service provider and you envision having passive products one day, that could be great for you too. So Active Campaign and ConvertKit, they're really similar competitors, a lot of similar features. I would just recommend doing some research on what's best for you. And then if you're a product-based business, I always recommend Klaviyo. Hands down, it's the best for product-based businesses. It integrates with Shopify really well. It's not the most beautiful interface for designing newsletters. It takes some work, but there are ways to make the newsletters pretty by designing graphics in Canva and just adding graphics to the newsletters. But it's
we use
really
Klaviyo here. Sorry to interrupt. We use Klaviyo here, and I think for us the biggest benefit is the texting.
Yep. SMS is huge. Yeah. That's interesting. You guys chose Klaviyo as not a product-based business. Not a lot of non-product-based businesses choose them.
We weren't working with you. Our SEO guy told us, and that's what he uses for all his clients. And I hate Klaviyo, but I do like the texting, and it's interesting to see the difference when we send a newsletter out with the same content versus a text, like the even open rate, the click rate, the ROI, huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, SMS is growing like crazy right now, which some people are annoyed by, but I think if you do it right, then it's not annoying. It's actually beneficial for whoever's receiving your content because it's like helpful reminders when they actually need to get them, as long as you're not spamming people from like every angle. Yeah. So yeah, those are the biggest email platforms I'd recommend for people. Flowdesk, if you want something pretty and tech friendly. MailerLite, if you want something free. Active Campaign or ConvertKit, if you need something robust with segmentation and automation. And then Klaviyo, if you're a product-based business. And I have a blog that we actually just published that goes into all of the details that I talked about.
Nice. So as we head on into the holiday season here, I know we wanted to chat with you a little bit more about some specific things that businesses can do when they're rolling out their holiday marketing. So do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So now is a great time, especially product-based businesses, or if you have products in your offer suite, it's a great time to get some of these sequences set up. So service providers, this is like a cautionary tale. What I'm going to talk about is more specific to if you have products, because service-based businesses during Black Friday, during the holiday season, you're going to feel tempted to offer discounts for your services. But personally, my view on that is discounting your time is not the best feeling during the holiday season. So if you exchange time for money, essentially as service providers, that's what we do. offering a discount on your services during the holiday season when you're supposed to be spending time with family and scaling back a little bit. If you sell your services for a big discount, then you're working at a lower hourly rate. I know if it was me, I'd probably be a little bit resentful of the work. It wouldn't feel great to me. So I would caution you to really consider and reflect on if discounting your services feels good to you. But everything that I'm going to talk about in the next few minutes is for product-based businesses, because offering discounts or freebies or whatever it is for products is just more common during this Black Friday holiday season. And it's just easier to scale. So I'm going to preface this conversation with that. So for product-based businesses, there's some email sequences that I would really recommend setting up. And if you already have them set up, I would recommend looking back into what you have set up and seeing if there's any places that you can optimize, because we want to capture as many conversions as possible during the holiday season when you're likely offering discounts. More people are joining your list. More people are incentivized to join your list for these bigger discounts. And people are just more inclined to purchase and like fork out money during the holidays for gifts and presents and all the things. So if you have an email marketing platform and you have sequences set up, now is a great time to go in and see what's working, what's not, what open rates you can increase, what click rates you can increase, what sequences you can add on that you don't have yet. So I'll just dive into some of those sequences that we can talk about. So every business should have a welcome sequence if you have email marketing. And if you don't have email marketing, you could honestly whip something together in one day and create a Band-Aid solution for the holiday season just to capture emails, and then create a strategy in 2023. I would highly encourage it, actually. So your welcome sequence is, in the case of the holiday season, if you want to promote that you're going to be doing a 30% off discount on Black Friday, then you want to create a form that says, give us your email in exchange for a 30% discount code, right? And then after they fill out that form, they receive your welcome sequence. So the first email is delivering the discount that you promised. And then the rest of the emails in that sequence, which can be, it can be 2 or 3 if you feel overwhelmed by it, but I'd recommend trying to get to like 5 or 6 to lean into storytelling. But the goal of your welcome sequence is really just to introduce people to your brand and get them to like, know, and trust you even more, and to use the discount code that you gave them, because we want them to convert. So welcome sequence is really the first and foremost step. Super important to do. The next two I'll talk about are also, in my head, non-negotiables for product-based businesses. If you're going to have email marketing, you need to set these up. And this is the post-purchase sequence and the abandoned cart sequence. So after a customer purchases from you, you want to show up in their inbox with a personalized message from you as the owner, thanking them for supporting your business, sharing what it means to you, just really like a feel-good message. And then once the product is delivered, you can time out the next email that they receive based on when it's likely that they have the product and have had a chance to use it. So then check in with them. How did you get it? I hope you're loving it. And then you can encourage them to leave a review too, because we want to get as many reviews as possible. And then the next email in your post-purchase sequence can even be promoting other products that you have in your line that they might like. You can share like your favorites as the CEO. You could share the best sellers. You could get techie if you want to and do some upselling cross-sell emails, which is setting up in Klaviyo. If someone purchases product A, suggest product B to them. So you can get kind of techie and like specific to products with upselling. So that's the post-purchase sequence. It's not too long to set up, so I'd really encourage you to do it. And then the abandoned cart sequence is the other one that's kind of a non-negotiable. So the abandoned cart sequence is super lucrative. So the abandoned cart sequence actually encourages your chance of making a sale by up to 65%. So very lucrative sequence if you're a product-based business. Essentially, if someone leaves something in your cart, you've probably gotten these emails before. If you leave something in the cart, send them a reminder. Normally, this is like a 2 to 4 email sequence. And if someone hasn't purchased by the last email in the sequence, I encourage you to offer them a discount. So if they've gotten 4 emails from you reminding them of something that's in their cart or sharing FAQs or social proof, all the things, and they still haven't purchased, you can offer them 10% off if you want to, if that feels good to you, to really try to make that conversion happen. So those are the top 3 non-negotiables. Right? They get me too. It's like, oh, I was thinking about buying this and now I get 10% off. Take my money, please.
Yes, especially from Nordstrom when they tell me my shopping bag is hot, and then I get the ads on the side of like Facebook or whatever website that I'm on that showed me that thing that I was looking at.
Oh, I know. Big companies can get tricky with the targeted advertising. Yeah. So there's a few other email sequences I would also recommend for product-based businesses. These ones are more, I would say, quote unquote, advanced. So if you're just starting out, do not feel like you have to do these immediately, but I would consider setting them up eventually. And these are the win back sequence and the sunset sequence. So the win back sequence is great for product based businesses, especially if you have a product that can run out. So think like hair care, skin care, any type of product that reduces in quantity over time, because you can estimate when that product is going to run out for somebody. And at that time, send them an email. Maybe it's 3 months. And so you can have it triggered that after someone purchases, 90 days later, send them an email asking them if their product is running low and if they want to purchase again. So this win back sequence is normally like 3 to 5 emails, encouraging them to make another purchase from you. And so that's why it's called a win back, is because we want to get them back to being a customer. And then the sunset sequence is also really important, but less so for conversions and more so for nurturing and for the health of your email list. So a sunset sequence is designed so if somebody doesn't open or click an email from you in 6 months is normally what I would recommend. Depends on the frequency of newsletters you send, but generally 3 to 6 months is a good time to send this. Basically telling them that, hey, we haven't heard from you in a while. We'd love to have you back. Usually you remind them of the values of your business, what your business is all about. You share testimonials, you share reviews, FAQs in this 4 to 6 email sequence. And then at the end of the sequence, you can offer them a discount to encourage them to come back. But at the end of the sequence, you also tell them like, hey, if you haven't opened, we're actually going to remove you from our email list. We'd love to have you back at any time. Click here to rejoin. And so the sunset sequence is designed to remove unengaged subscribers from your email list, which is to maintain the health of your list. So especially if you're a product-based business that does a lot of sales, once you start collecting 3, 4, 5, 6,000 subscribers and beyond, it's likely that you're going to have some unengaged folks on your email list. And we want to get rid of them as soon as possible because they're just going to impact your open rates, your click rates. They're just going to make your data look not as healthy. And so we want to get rid of them because also, side note, platforms like Gmail, Yahoo, MSN, all of these email platforms that you're sending to, they look at your open rates and your engagement rates of your emails. And so if you have consistently low engagement and open rates for the newsletters that you're sending, they're more likely to view it as spam and send it to your engaged subscribers' spam inboxes. So they're consistently looking at like, right? Yeah, big pressure. So we want to keep a healthy email list. So we continue to have your emails look like reputable sources for platforms like Gmail and Yahoo. So that's what the sunset sequence helps do.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because I was wondering, like, when I go through my spam, sometimes I'm like, oh, that's all going to spam from something that I bought from or that I loved. And I was surprised about that, but that makes sense if I'm not opening up their emails, and maybe a lot of people aren't. So, yeah, that's kind of mind blowing.
Yeah. I mean, once you understand what these sequences are, you start being very perceptive to what brands are doing in your inbox, which can be fun because if I want to purchase something from a company, especially if it's a big purchase, sometimes I'll leave it in my abandoned cart to see if they give me a discount. Like you can start getting kind of tricky, which is bad for like small business owners. Like if you're supporting a small business, like just pay full price if you can. But these like big box stores, sometimes you can get kind of tricky of like guessing what their discount code is and like typing in different guesses in like the discount section. So once you're like on the inside, you can use it to your advantage for some of these bigger companies, but don't try these tricks for small businesses. Pay the full amount.
These are such great tips, though. And it's like so mind blowing to me. Like, all I can think of is like, everybody hire Molly.
Oh, thank you.
That's my goal. Because I just think it's so amazing the way that you're thinking through all of this and able to explain the whole ecosystem of this thing that people think of as just one thing, but it really is just a combination of so many things that are big and beautiful and intense for people, and like you said, require a lot of psychology and testing and awareness of behavior.
Yeah, that's why I really lean heavily into sales copy with email marketing, pairing those services together, especially for service providers. When I get to write a service provider's sales page and their email sequences attached to that sales page, like a waitlist sequence and a launch sequence, that's when it gets really fun, because that's when you can really dive into sales psychology and really get into like the pain points and transformations and all of the sales copywriting that people, business owners, are hesitant to do, because when you're writing sales copy for your own business, it is so dang hard, because you're having to justify and like really, really buy in to understand and articulate the value of what you're offering, while you might have a lot of mindset blocks going on of like, is this as valuable as I think it is? Are these transformations true? Am I going to offer this to people? And so as a sales copywriter, you can really like dive into some of those insecurities that the business owner is having and overcome them while writing copy as well. So it's so much fun going into all that stuff.
Yeah, I've been amazed at how many clients, and part of why I backed up my business to start at the source of like helping them find their voice and their mission, their values, and all of that, because there were so many blocks around like, oh, you want me to write a bio, but you don't even know yourself or your business, and you don't know that you don't know yourself and your business. So it, all of what you're saying really speaks to me in the client journey. And same with me too. If I were to write a sales page for myself, I wouldn't be able to do a good job at that because I'm too close to it. So what you provide is so much value in so many directions. I know we only have a few minutes left, so we do have some not so rapid fires. Do you have those pulled up, Emilie?
Yep. Okay, so Molly, what are you proudest of in your business right now?
So I recently took some time off of marketing my business and doing any projects. I got really burnt out and really overwhelmed during the summer. I got really busy, which, as a new business owner, I said yes to every project that came my way because I was so dang excited to be busy. But during that time, the past 6 weeks, I kind of took a step back and I realigned with the type of people I really want to be working with, the type of projects I want to be working on, and really feeling more like just generally aligned with the direction my business is heading in. And so I think I'm most proud that I was able to like literally shut down half of my business with those projects, take the time that I needed to reflect on what wasn't working and what got me to a place of like burnout and stress and overwhelm, and then now move forward in a way that feels really good to me. And since then, the past 2 weeks, when I'm like, okay, I'm ready for these new projects, I'm ready to do this, I've had some perfectly ideal clients come to me. And so I'm just really grateful that I took that time to shut down and then realign. So I think I'm most proud of that right now.
That's amazing. I think we all needed to do that with ourselves and get quiet and just like reflect and listen. It's so valuable. Tell us about a book you read or a podcast you listened to that recently changed the way you're thinking about your life or your business.
Okay, so I am a part of like this little book club that we meet monthly, and we just read Essentialism. I don't remember the name of the author. I listened to the audiobook, and it's really just about like stripping down all of the extras in life and how, as business owners, we feel so inclined to say yes to everything. But if you say yes to everything, you're saying like yes to nothing, is the way he put it. Like if you're doing everything, you're really not doing one thing the best. And so I think reading that too reaffirmed a lot of what I was going through when I shut part of my business down, of like, I was saying yes to all of these different projects, all of these different quote unquote ideal clients, but I wasn't like really focusing on what I loved the most. And so this book really reinforced that saying no is important, and it's so like essential as a business owner. So I would recommend it if you struggle with being a yes man and having no boundaries.
We'll find that and link it in the show notes too. What would your last meal be?
My last meal? Oh,
Yep, like
I
if
would
you were
say
gonna die, what would your last meal be?
that's morbid, but I would say a warm dark chocolate brownie with a scoop of vanilla ice cream on it.
Yes.
Yeah. Sounds so good right now.
I know I'm so hungry. I always get hungry asking this question. What is the best business purchase in the last 6 months that you made that's under $100? Sometimes people fudge on the $100 part, sometimes they don't.
Best business investment. I would say networking events. I think, yeah, totally. I think that's been the best investment in like meeting people and like connecting with people and just getting to know other business owners and feel less alone in it all. And all of the ones I've gone to have been less than $100.
That's so, yeah, I totally agree with you there. I mean, this week alone, we were at that event together, what, 2 weeks ago? And this week I'm seeing two of the people that we met there. I'm seeing the pelvic floor PT and also the chiropractor that was there this week.
I
So
love it.
I,
Beautiful.
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Life-changing.
Uh-huh. Seriously.
And finally, what is lighting you up lately?
Yoga. Yoga's lighting me up in like the most calming and necessary way. Like, you know, the feeling, I don't know if you guys do yoga, but like when I leave a yoga class, I just feel like I can conquer the world in the most calm, energetic state possible. Like anything could come my way and I could tackle it in like a calm, cool, and collected sense. So it's lighting me up in a calming way.
That's such a juicy answer, too. My favorite studio in Seattle, we moved away from it, and I don't commute to workout classes more than 20 minutes. So I'm like, I miss them so much. And our studios here are fine, but not nearly the same level. So I need to find one that like is juicy like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the best.
This has been so awesome. I need to hire you for everything. You just like keep pushing me closer and closer to doing it. Where can people find you and contact you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Acorn Digital Strategy NW for Northwest. Someone had the other name, so I had to tack on the Northwest to it.
That's
my
crazy
website's
that somebody had that name.
I know. Yeah. They're not in Washington though, so it's all good. And then my website's the same, acorndigitalstrategynw.com. I'm most active on Instagram. I have not joined TikTok yet, so you cannot find me there. And then also in the link in my bio on my Instagram is where you can find some of the free resources that I mentioned. So the getting started with email marketing. And then I also recently put out a free resource with over 120 subject line ideas. So if you're already in the email marketing game and you want some like killer subject line ideas to save you time and mental headspace, you can find that in the link in my bio too. And you'll also get added to my newsletter list after you download it. A spoiler alert. But yeah, that's probably the best way
You're
to connect with me.
opting in.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not
Exactly.
creepy. You're opting in.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Thank you so much for being here today, Molly. It was so great, like, and informative to learn more about you and actually like dive into some really important marketing foundations, essentially. That was like, that's different than what we usually do on the podcast, and it was really fun and refreshing to do that here.
Oh, good. I'm glad. And I hope all this was really helpful. And a lot of the things I talk about, I write about on my blog too, with even more like detailed step-by-step information. So if you're not ready to hire somebody to help you with all this, you can probably like scrap your way through it by the resources on my blog or sending me a DM with any questions. I'm always open to brainstorming and supporting people in free ways.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Molly, and thank you to everybody for listening to this episode of The Coast. We will see you next week.
Bye. This episode edited by Kay Gentry Shue.
And music provided by Sloan Best.